It's Ren Presents time. I'm your host, Ren, and today we continue with the House of Bloodstein, Perlamum, Chapter 4, The Mad Black Hat of Waam. It's a few days before Christmas. I'd like to wish everyone happy holidays. We're busy wrapping gifts, making cookies. Every year my wife just goes nuts. We gotta make thousands of types of cookies. And I'm sitting here with a bandage on the middle finger of my left hand because I just about chopped my finger off with one of those mezzalunas, those little, it's like a flat board with a blade sticking up, and you move what you want to cut back and forth over the blade, and it makes very quick, very even little cuts. Well, it'll cut your finger too if you're not careful. And wow, and it's amazing how much you use your middle finger for, not just for bird flipping and nose picking, but just about everything I touch. Ow, it hurts. But I digress. Last week, our intrepid duo decided to take Lady Chrysania up on her offer. They're going to go look for her Perlamum pieces. They met up with a bunch of nasty bravos from the south, the Wonderlucks, who warned them to stay away, that apparently Lady Chrysania had contacted them as well, and this is their mission, and stay out. They were pretty rude, and Sam broke the hand of the largest guy, Ernst, because he was a jerk, had it coming to him, and then they left. So that's where we finished. As we recall, the games master for Lady Chrysania's Perlamum tournament is Wilhella Cormand-Grande, the Mad Black Hat of Waam, who is a particularly chatty, unpredictable, and sociable black hat, which is usually not the case. Black hats usually just sit in their temples wherever they happen to be. They're usually not welcome wherever they pitch their tent, so to speak. They do the Black Abbess's bidding, and they just sit there and cast shadow tech and be generally a nuisance. Wilhella Cormand-Grande is even more so, because over time, she has developed a personality of her own, which is unusual. Black hats usually don't do much except brood. But she does. She loves to try new foods and new fashions, and she loves to have broadcasts where she does all sorts of outrageous things. And she was married, or she actually has been married several times, and once was to Scrib Tiffin, the portator of Shook, who is a man who cannot die. And Wilhella Cormand-Grande loves to kill people, so who knows how many times she killed Scrib Tiffin. Eventually they got a divorce and did all kinds of horrible things to each other, which we'll get into as the book progresses. She's one of the more burlesque and R-rated characters in my books. We will see what she's all about in this chapter as they have to contact her regarding the pieces that Lady Chrysania needs. So, let's dig in, shall we? House of Bloodstein, Chapter 4, The Mad Black Hat of Waam. After the incident in the Cat God pub, they headed back to Castle Blanchfort, and then up to the 50th floor of Zyodal Tower, a medium-sized tower that Sarah and Philip shared. The tower was mostly taken up by the Mystery Library. Sarah and Philip had used the library as their command center as children. The walls were studded with orderly shelves lined with vellum-bound books of monsters, mythology, ghosts, the arcane, urban legends, herbology, and other odd topics that struck her fancy. Sarah had collected and categorized the books over the years, starting from when she was very young. She had a minute knowledge of everything housed in the library, down to the smallest scrap of paper. She was a very organized and meticulous person, and the spotless, well-laid-out library was proof of that. Posters and colorful pictures from their childhood had once lined the walls, but they had been removed as Sarah's taste matured. At the far end of the room were a number of chairs and couches, all overstuffed to their liking, a terminal, and a sizable cooler that Sarah always kept well stocked with drinks and snacks, saving them a long trip to the kitchens. A great Nadine wood table from Castle Durst dominated the central area of the library, its ornate, dark-stained surface dust-free, oiled, and well tended to by Sarah. A slate hanging on the wall by the door announced who was welcome in the Mystery Library and who was not. On the welcome list was Philip, Kay, Milos, their older brother, Lady Kylos, Kay's younger sister and namesake of Madame Kylos, Lady Hathaline, Kay's other sister, and finally Sam, her name added last. The unwelcome side of the list had too many names to bother with. Carahil, a cosmic spirit born of Lady Post Silvertech, and who had become a god, had once told Kay the Mystery Library was one of his temples, and that Sarah was a de facto high priestess of the temple. Kay never shared that revelation with Sarah. Her ego would make her unbearable to deal with. They piled into the comfortable room, and Sarah shut the door. Coats came off and went over the arms of chairs. Refreshments came out of the cooler and popped open with gassy rushes. Sarah sank cross-legged into her favorite overstuffed chair, began downloading the contents of her pocket terminal into the larger one on the table. Sam, carrying one drink for herself and one for Kay, sat down next to him and removed her confining shoes. "Those were some rude Joe-boys, weren't they?" Sarah said as she worked. "I was figuring we were going to be trading blows at any moment. I had a spot all picked out on that chick's chin where I was going to put my fist to bed." "I did too," Kay agreed. "I didn't quite know what to make of that. I've seen Zaffins comport themselves with better manners. Such malicious talk is completely unacceptable, especially when uttered to the future Countess of Blanchford within the boundaries of her own principality, and I will never allow them to be uttered again. Are you all right, Sam?" She nodded. "I'm used to that sort of thing from Remnaths. They've never treated Monomas well." "Well, we're not in Remnath. Nobody should have to endure insults like that. They're lucky Kai stepped in, otherwise they might not have survived the encounter." "Is it possible that Lady Chrysania did hire them?" Sam asked. "We saw their name in Castle Bloodstein." "Maybe. Who cares?" Sarah said, unplugging her terminal. "Maybe she heard about them and sought their help, finding out the hard way that they're a bunch of useless slugs and now she can't get rid of them." Philip sat down at the terminal and punched up some data. "Let's see. Wonderlux. Here they are. They're a group of treasure seekers from Wiln, and yes, they are of the second line of the old House of Jocanda. They're an official splinter group of the house. The Jocandas have been miserably downtrodden since they declared their foolish war on the Sisters in 4582 EX. "Why did they do such a stupid thing?" Sarah asked. "The Sisters wanted their old holdings in the outreaches of the Remnath lands for their stronghold of Samarkand. The Jocandas didn't want to sell, and eventually the Sisters forced them out. So they declared war before the League X Commons. Seems the Wonderlux are trying to restore honor to their household via frondage." "What is that?" Sam asked. "Hoarding, Sam. Frondage can help one better one's status in the League. If you acquire enough stuff, the better your standing. The Wonderlux are acquiring rare items and other treasures and stockpiling them in Wiln. They seem to have amassed quite a trove. They took Lady Chrysania's painting. They must be after her requitur as well," Kay said. "That could be." Sarah took a swig from her drink and considered the situation. "Listen, who cares about those stupid Joe-boys, right? Kai's got 'em running out of the province, and that's good enough for me. If anything, I'm more determined to get those pieces now more than ever, just to piss them off. Okay, so here's what we'll do. We'll calm Wilhella up, announce our intentions as trustees of Lady Chrysania. As games master, Wilhella Cormand-Grande will then be compelled to give us the clues to the locations of her Perlamum pieces. Let's see. Lady Chrysania is only worried about a few pieces, the queen, the jester, both rooks, and her pawns. And the pawns will come as a set, Philip added. That's right. Why does she want her stupid pawns, I wonder? Pawns provide important blocking functions, Philip said. Ah, okay. I think we should shoot for more than that to give her a better chance of success, Sarah said. I think we should get 'em all. That sounds fine, Kay added. Sam stirred. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, please. First, let's receive the clues and then consider what is to be done next. I'm certain the pieces will not be hidden in an easy-to-get location. Typically, the lower-ranking pieces are fairly easy to acquire, Philip said, sitting at the terminal. The match-set pieces, like the rooks, the knights, and the bishops, are most often entrusted to individual people. The toughest pieces, the queen, missive, and jester, are usually hidden in the hardest spots. Philip looked around. For our transmission, we should direct our signal through a Landsat or passing starship to mask our point of origin, so she can't backtrack us to Castle Blanchford. I'd hate to have a black hat know where we live. It just doesn't feel like a good idea. Good thought, Philip, Sarah said. Get it set up, and for creation's sake, make sure nothing shows up in the cone that would clue her as to our location. Sam took a good look around. I see a library about us, Sarah. How could she possibly determine our location from that? Don't know. I'm just saying. Philip adjusted his seat in front of the terminal and made the programming changes. After a minute or two, he was done. Okay, we're all set. Now, if she sends any whammock our way, Sam, you grab it and rip its head off, all right? Then you, Kay, you get rid of it with your carg. How can we fail? Sam took a drink and gave Sarah a sinister look. I don't know, but if any of this goes bad, be aware the first person I'm going to be grabbing is you, Sarah. Make no mistake. And I won't hesitate to throttle you into sobbing mass right in front of everybody. Fair enough. Okay, Philip, let's do this. Philip made a few more adjustments to the hollow terminal. All set. We're going to be bouncing our signal off a HOB freighter that I located near Poteet. He looked around. I think everybody, except for me and Sarah, need to be out of the picture. Let me adjust the cone a bit. Okay, we're ready to broadcast. Sarah put her duster back on and proudly displayed her deputy's badge on the left lapel. Philip entered the comm code Lady Chrysania had given Sarah, and the transmission went out. The screen went ominously black and quiet. Is it doing anything? Sam asked. Bouncing the signal slows the transmission, Philip added. I don't like this, Sam said to Kay and Anui. Shh! Sarah shushed. The screen remained black for some time, though something apparently stirred in the background. Sam smelled something. She sniffed the air. Do you smell that? She whispered. I don't smell anything, Sarah said, staring at the black screen. Wait, Philip said. I smell something too. It's a rich tobacco tinged with menthol, like a fancy cigarette. Don't you smell that, Sarah? She sniffed. Oh, yeah, I do now. Where is that coming from? From the terminal, Kay said. It's Shadow Tech. It's Whammock. On the terminal cone, a figure appeared, backlit against a field of black. It was slender, dainty, clearly female, wearing the usual scarlet-red robes associated with black hats. She had on long black gloves that went past her elbows. Her face was covered with a black, wrapped-up sash that covered all hint of her features, though there was a slight horizontal opening for her mouth. Her lurid white teeth seemed to be floating on air. She was wearing a black, broad-brimmed hat that held a menthol mounted on a black stick in her slender gloved fingers. Tickling feathers of smoke drifted through the terminal cone and rose into the air of the library. She studied Philip and Sarah and took a long pull from her cigarette and gave a wicked smile. Would you just look at these attractive young people, she said in an odd, crawling sort of voice. She blew a bluish, perfectly formed smoke ring at the screen. The ring seemingly came out of the terminal and expanded in the open air of the library, moving slowly past Sarah and ringing around Philip's head and neck. It is a rare occasion I receive a communication on my personal code. What are your names, please? And do not lie, for I shall know. Lying shall make me very angry. Sarah spoke up. I am a duly appointed deputy of... The black hat cut her off. I did not ask your occupation, darling. I asked your name. What is your name? Sarah hesitated a little. My name is Sarah, and this is my brother, Philip. The black hat in the cone took another pull from her cigarette and blew another smoke ring. This one punched its way out of the cone and settled around Sarah's neck. The black hat gave a sinister, toothy smile. Her mouth, the only thing visible on her sashed face. It was like a magic mouth floating ugly on a field of black. Come now, she said. No title, no of this or of that you leaguers love so much. And I see you've attempted to mask your signal by redirecting it off a passing vessel in the naked veil of space. How quaint! Did no one inform you, Lady Sarah of Blanchford, how dangerous it is to trifle with a black hat, especially Wilhella Cormand-Grande? Sarah and Philip sat there petrified. They hadn't expected to be pierced so easily. Kay rose from the couch and pushed his way onto the cone. Enough of this. We have contacted you today regarding a Perlamum tournament in which you have been appointed as Games Master. We are acting in the interests of Lady Chrysania of Bloodstein, and wish to know where you have spirited her playing pieces as the game traditions demand. Wilhella was elated. Pardon? I have my pieces scattered about. Could you be Lord Cable of Blanchford? You must be. You're as handsome as I've heard. Answer my question, please. You are seeking the pieces, I take it, Lord Blanchford? You and your kin? We are. The black hat surveyed Kay and scooted towards the screen a bit. Your name sounds very familiar to me. Yes, I remember you, Lord Blanchford. You visited our fair city not long ago. I was hoping to entertain you as my special guest. I've always room for Shadowtech males such as you. I had a perfect spot picked out for you in my throne room. I executed a fair number of my idiot Gogan specters over that incident. She reached out toward the screen, and a gloved hand and arm came out of the cone, reaching for Kay's face. Sam shot out of her seat in a blur and grabbed the hand with crushing force. Kay then dispelled it with a wave of his carg, its silver tech biting through the whammock and dissolving it into smoke. I grow tired of these games and of your Shadowtech whammocks, and of you in particular, Kay said. Do your duty as Games Master and tell us what we wish to know, and we shall trouble you no further. Wilhella Cormand-Grande gave a tittering sort of laugh and enjoyed a long pull from her cigarette. Oh, my beauty. You sound remarkably like my last husband. May he rest in peace. I thought those of the great houses are supposed to show such restraint and politeness. I shall point out that you are showing remarkably bad form, sir. Is it not customary to seek the Games Master and offer your requests in person, instead of over a cold, unfriendly comm link? Isn't it? Yes. As Games Master, I demand you come to me here in Waam and make your request in the welcoming confines of my temple. I insist, in fact. Allow me to offer you a proper invitation. Wilhella reached down and produced a glowing red slip of parchment. She then scribbled a few things on its face and reached out, her gloved hand once again emerging from the cone, this time holding the slip of paper. She set it down and her arm retreated back into the cone. I will expect all 4 of you in my presence at your earliest convenience, and please attend. To refuse an invitation from Wilhella Cormand-Grande is not a wise thing to contemplate. No, not wise at all. She pulled away from the screen. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. And the cone went dead. They stared at the festering, slightly hissing red piece of paper sitting on the tabletop. It seethed with brimstone and smoked in an infernal manner. Well, that was a lot creepier than I thought it would be, Sarah said. Philip leaned down and looked at the paper. What's it say? As she said, it's an invitation. It says, be it known that the mad black hat of Waam, the despicable Wilhella Cormand-Grande, admits into her presence the following trembling souls. Cable, Lord of Blanchford, Sammy Doran, Nee Countess of Blanchford, Sarah, Lady of Blanchford, Philip, Lord of Blanchford. As before, and so now, these souls have been duly summoned unto the presence of the mad black hat of Waam for the purpose of discussing the location of her perpetually hidden perlamum pieces. If any or all of the souls so summoned fail to appear, the consequences shall be dire and immediate. Please note, this invitation does not admit said parties to the fabulous Top of the Universe restaurant. How did she figure out who we were so quickly? Sarah asked. No doubt she has access to powerful technology trumping ours, Philip said. Sam picked up the red paper and looked at it. It hissed in her hand, and she quickly set it back down. Oh, I don't like that. It burns my hands. It's shadow tech, Sam, Kay said. It's toxic to the touch. So what are we going to do? Sarah asked. I suppose we're all expected in Waam, Philip said. Kay can't go to Waam, Sam cried. He's a shadow tech male. He'll be hunted down like a dog. I'd rather take my chances with the specters in Waam than a pissed-off black hat, Sarah said. Sam seized Sarah by the lapel and lifted her off the floor with one arm. Sarah's boots flailed. Oh, look at this situation we're in. What did I tell you, Sarah? What did I tell you? Sam, let her down, Kay said. She let her go abruptly, and Sarah whomped onto the carpeted floor, right on her can. Philip had a thought. I don't think Waam will be quite as dangerous as before, Sam. We have an ally there now. Sam stood over Sarah and glowered. You mean your love, Philip? Is that right? What is her name? Rose, he said, returning to the terminal. Sarah stood back up and rubbed her sore butt. Thomasina the 19th, Portator of Ald, which is a municipality of Waam. Why does he call her Rose? Sam asked. 'Cause that's her name, he said as he punched in a lengthy code on the terminal. The screen turned green. Soon a lovely green-haired woman with blazing brown eyes appeared on the cone. Philip, she said in a surprisingly soft voice and a big smile. Have you changed your mind about my offer? Hello, Rose, he said. No, I'm going to school next year. I haven't changed my mind. He noted her hair. You've dyed your hair green again. If you want it brown, that will require a kiss, Philip. She frowned and saw Sarah standing there. You promised to talk some sense into your brother for me, Sarah. I've tried, Thomasina. He wants to go to school. You don't have to stay away, though. You're always welcome here. We'd love to have you with us. You're sweet. Perhaps I'll do so on select occasions as I pine away for your brother. Rose, Philip said, we're heading out to Waam, and I need safe harbor. Kay will be with us. The woman on the screen appeared excited. You'll have it. Of course you'll have it. When will you arrive? We're leaving in the next few days, so it should be a week or so. I cannot wait to see you, Philip, and everyone else as well. She turned to Sam. I've not had the pleasure of your acquaintance, my lady. Not in the proper sense, anyway. I owe you much. Sam replied, Any woman who commands Philip's heart is worthy of all respect. She blushed. I shall have our room ready for your arrival, Philip, and I will ensure your protection once here. Keep me informed of your progress. I will, Rose. And she approached the cone, her face filling it. I love you, Philip. And I love you, Rose. And with that, we conclude the House of Bloodstein, Chapter 4, The Mad Black Hat of Waam. And all this commotion you hear in the background is my wife wrapping Christmas presents.
Ho, ho, ho.
Everyone, the whole fandom is right here in my office as I try to do some serious narration.
But he's not working.
There's no way I'll ever be able to turn this one into an audible file, but I digress. So, the gang has met up with Wilhella Cormand-Grande, and she trumped whatever technology they have with whatever technology she has. She quickly figured out who they were and where they were calling from. Don't ask me how. Just roll with it. She has the technology to do so, whatever that might be.
Because I created it, so I don't know.
Because that's how I have determined it to be. So she is demanding that they offer their or make their pitch for the pieces in person. That means they actually have to go into her temple in Waam, and of course Waam is part of is on the planet Gothan, which is in the Zafin Armada, and it's not a quick trip. It's at about as far away from the League as you can get and still be in the Zafin Armada. So the gang has a long, perilous trip ahead of them through space. Wilhella Cormand-Grande, I always have a lot of fun with her. I consider her like my version of Doctor Doom. She's, whenever you think you've got her cornered, whenever you think you have her captured, it turns out to be a robot or a dummy or maybe an unfortunate person who has been forced to pretend to be Wilhella. She's a lot of fun, and I think you'll enjoy her as a villain. And now, of course, going forward, we're going to get into some chapters that are very R-rated in description because Wilhella loves to do outrageous things. At a convention, I once sold this book to a teacher for his second grade class. He says, any of your books good for like second graders? And I thought, this book is pretty tame as far as, it's got violence and so forth, but as far as, cursing and stuff like that, it's not too bad. But I forgot about this one character, Wilhella, who's about as R-rated as you can get. And I felt terrible. I mean, that's not what I'm about. That's not how I roll. I looked all through that con for the teacher. I was going to take the book back and give him a different one. Like maybe book 2, which is, I wouldn't have to worry about stuff like that. I couldn't find him, and I felt horrible about that. It's a lot of fun, but second graders probably a little too young. Although kids are a lot more than I was, and that's a fact. So they've made contact with Wilhella, and apparently they're gonna make the trek to Waam to get her pieces. And if you listen back on this recording, listen carefully to what Wilhella says about these pieces. What she says and what she does not say is actually quite important. Next week, we continue the House of Bloodstein Perlamum, Chapter 5, entitled King, one of my personal favorite chapters in this book. Anywho, once again, I wish you all happy holidays. May you experience joy in this season of giving, if you choose to partake, of course. And until next week, this is Ren Presents. I'm your host, Ren. Peace out.